With us being halfway through the year, the 2024 summer season being right around the corner, this year so far honestly hasn't been that bad. Now I haven't watched that many anime from this year so far. I've been pretty busy with a bunch of IRL stuff, and my upload schedule has been pretty reflective of that.
3 months is crazy.
But your boy is back, and today I'm talking about one of the anime I watched this year. That anime is Ninjakamui. Now this show came out back during the winter season, I think in like February, and I think it ended back in May if I'm not mistaken. But when this show first came out, there was so much hype around it. I think at one point while it was airing, it was in the top 200 on my anime list. So it was a pretty big deal when it first came out. So me, of course, I went ahead and checked it out. And as a matter of fact, I was actually planning on making a video about it about 2 months ago, I'd say. But at the time, I wasn't fully caught up with it. Also, it hadn't stopped airing, so I thought it would just be better to do it after it ended. Which now looking back at it was a very good decision by me. Now I wasn't trying to come back on no negativity, but man, did this series disappoint me. But now that it has finished airing and I finally caught up to it, I'm finally able to make this video. Also, at the time of this recording, season 2 just got announced not too long ago, so I may make another video on this series when season 2 eventually comes out, though that is if I watch season 2. But anyways, let's get into how this anime disappointed me. Also, quick spoiler warning if you haven't seen the show or you're still watching it. So when talking about Ninjakamui, I feel like I kind of got to separate it into like 2 separate parts. You've got the first 4 or 5 episodes, and then you've got the rest. Now, there is a reason why I'm doing this, and I'll explain it later. Now, to give a little backstory about the anime itself, it was created by a studio named E&H Production, which I'm personally not familiar with any of their works. But what I do know is that the series is actually licensed by adultswim, which before watching I thought was pretty cool. Now, going into what the show itself is actually about, the show follows our main character, Joe Logan, who's living on a farm with his family. Now, at first, nothing really seems out of the ordinary. Everything seems pretty normal and kind of wholesome, which should already be a red flag. And a red flag it was, because in like the second half of the first episode, his family gets brutally unalived, with the main character himself also getting injured. But we also find out that his name is actually Joe Higan instead of Joe Logan, and the people that attacked him were from his former ninja clan. Yeah, we pretty much learned all of this within like the first episode and a half. And I must say, this was a really great way to start the series. I remember watching for the first time being pretty invested to see where the story would go from here. Not only that, but the animation and action that was showcased within the first episode alone was actually really good. Like, bro, just look at this. I had really started to understand where the hype was coming from. And while I continued on to episodes 2 to 4, they too showcased the same energy that was shown in episode 1. We're introduced to Mike and Emma, who were introduced in episode 1, but they're becoming a lot more important within these episodes. We also get introduced to the main antagonist group named Alza, and overall everything just seems like it's going pretty well with the show. The story's not bad, the animation as well seemed really good, and the action scenes were probably my favorite thing about the show. The choreography was handled really well, and honestly I think it's what attracted most people to the show. And all of this personally gave me a lot of hope for where the series was going, and surely that hope was fulfilled, right? Right? Yeah, nah, y'all already read the title. Episodes 5 to 12. Yo, like, what happened? Now, I will say episode 5 wasn't that bad, but it introduces something very pivotal to the story. So, in the second half of the episode, Higan is about to fight against the antagonist group, and when he finally confronts them, we're introduced to the mech suits. And I remember watching thinking, okay, maybe this is gonna be like a one-time thing or something, and boy was I wrong. Because from like this point onward, I want to say about 95% of the fights involve these mech suits. I'm pretty sure the only time these suits weren't involved was like in characters' backstories. After this, it was pretty much a full-on mech series at this point. And this is where most of my disappointment came from, because it went from being a cool series about ninjas with some really great animation to focusing very heavily on these mechs. It really just felt like it was becoming an entirely different show at this point. The reason why everybody was watching this show pretty much just got thrown out the window. You can definitely see by how the ratings dropped that people were not happy about this. Not only that, but the story definitely wasn't as good as it was before. A lot of the writing felt pretty rushed and kind of all over the place at certain points. You can definitely see that with its characters. For example, around episode 6, the series starts to focus more on Emma, and it focuses more on her past and how she actually knows Higan's wife, which is honestly one of the better parts of this section. But the way they concluded her character felt pretty rushed and kind of forced. Not only that, but like pretty much all the antagonists in the series were pretty forgettable for me. Like if you were to ask me to name a single one of them, I'd probably fumble. Pretty much all their fights involved mech suits, and they were pretty underwhelming, I'm not gonna lie. And then you have the ending of the season, and I'm gonna be honest, when I got to this point, I kind of just didn't care. The final fight was pretty underwhelming. While it pretty much did wrap up most of the story from the season, I had pretty much lost most of my interest in the series by this point. And overall, it really just sucks how much this anime fumbled the bag. At this point, I genuinely have no clue where season 2 is going to take the story. One, because, well, I don't think most people are interested in seeing a season 2. But also, while it wasn't the best conclusion, the final episode kind of wrapped everything up. So there really isn't a clear line as to where the story could go from here. So I can only imagine as to where season 2 will take things. Anyways, though, with all that being said, I'm about to end the video here. If you've seen this anime, leave your thoughts down below. If you've made it this far, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll catch you all in the next video.